And I think there might be a guard of honour about to occur here for some very famous Manchester City players as we approach, the 50th anniversary of the Manchester City victory against Newcastle United in the League Cup final. The likes of Willie Donachie, Peter Barnes, Tommy Booth, Asa Hartford, the man who scored an incredible overhead kick that day, Dennis Stewart, Kenny Clements, Colin Barrett, and members of Tony Book's family are all being introduced to the crowd pitch side at the moment. That's one of the first League Cup finals, Stuart, I can ever remember, back in 76. Well, how could you forget that Dennis Stewart overhead kick? It was a beauty.
Yeah, as I say, I'm just looking down the roster of individuals here. Willie Donachie was here as a coach when I first arrived in my last playing year as a player. I played with Peter Barnes at Coventry. I remember passing it to him and it was about 6 inches away from his feet. Refused to run and said, "Feet, son, feet." Asa Hartford was here on the coaching set-up, and Dennis Stewart was on the board of directors when I was here with Kevin. So, yeah, some great achievements back in the day for them.
So they've had their introductions to the crowd, and we wait for the players to make their entrance. They're waiting in the tunnel, and they are on their way out now. And those Manchester City legends are standing as a guard of honour for the outcoming players and the referee here at the Etihad Stadium. Well, here we go then, the final third of the season. Sir Alex Ferguson called it squeaky bum time. Steve Bruce, who's with us on Talksport Monday night at Everton Manchester United, calls it the tickly bit. Well, who's got the minerals to see their way to the Premier League title this year? Arsenal have to wait till tomorrow to take on Spurs in the North London derby. How close can Manchester City get to them tonight as they take on a team they love to play here at the Etihad, Newcastle United? We're ready for the off here on Talksport. Stay with us, you won't miss a kick, in the company of the former Newcastle left-back and Man City manager Stuart Pearce, alongside your match commentator, Sam Matterface.
Thank you, Dance. Good evening, everyone. Yes, welcome to the back of the Colin Bell stand at the Etihad Stadium. We're just left of the halfway line, and we're sitting just in front of the Tunnel Club, where the great and the good start to pour out to fill their seats ahead of what could be a pivotal night in the title race. Well, these two are getting to know each other quite well, aren't they? It's a fixture that is becoming probably English football's most lopsided rivalry, really. Manchester City and Newcastle United meet for the fourth time this season, and if you are counting, there's a fifth one coming up in the FA Cup. The last time these two clashed this often was back in 1994-95. They played 5 times that year too. Back then, Andy Cole and Peter Beardsley were tearing up the Premier League, and City were, well, a very different football club. 30 years later, the power dynamic has certainly shifted. Pep Guardiola's side sits second. They're chasing Arsenal, and tonight they have the chance to pile on the pressure. By the time we leave here, the gap at the top of the Premier League table could be just 2 points. Anthony Gordon arrives fresh from scoring 4 goals in Baku on Wednesday night. Erling Haaland hasn't played for 10 days. He was rested against Salford last weekend because of a little knee problem, but he returns tonight hunting his 30th goal of the season, and he's achieved that milestone in all 3 previous seasons at Manchester City. But here's the thing, he hasn't scored against Newcastle United in 8 attempts, his worst record against any opponent. Well, Arsenal will be hoping that that trend continues tonight, and that Newcastle United do them a massive favour. Here are the two teams. The home team, Manchester City, in light blue shirts with white shorts and light blue socks. And they start with Donnarumma in goal, Nunez, Diaz, Gay and Ait-Nouri as the back four. Bernardo Silva, Rodri and Nico O'Reilly are the midfield trio, with Marmoush, Haaland and Semenyo in attack. For Newcastle United, who are in their change strip of dark blue with orange trim, they start with Pope in goal, Trippier, Chow, Byrne and Hall, then Willock, Tonali and Ramsey behind Elanga, Voltamada and Anthony Gordon. Referee is Tom Bramall, VAR is James Bell, and Tom Bramall actually relatively lenient on the card front, but has got form for awarding penalties. He averages 0.36 per Premier League game, which is quite high actually. Tomorrow we'll take you round the grounds on a pivotal day with the North London derby from 1:30. Monday night football is Everton against Manchester United. We're back in the Champions League next week and the Europa League and Conference League too. All the football, all the time. You know it makes sense. It has to be Talksport. It's Saturday night. Let's get going. Newcastle United shooting from right to left in the first half. City from left to right. And Stuart Pearce, the former Manchester City manager and former Newcastle player, is here. No better person to call this game. Can Newcastle finally break their Etihad curse tonight, Stuart?
Well, time will tell on that one. If they play the same way they did in the Carabao Cup game but convert their chances, they'll have a chance. Will they get those chances, though, in this game? City at the moment have been buoyed up by Arsenal dropping a couple of points in the week, and the title race is up and running.
Here is Semenyo picking it up halfway after Newcastle just threatened at the other end in the very early exchanges of the game. We've played 40 seconds. The ball is high up inside Newcastle territory, wide on the left. Nori sends it into the centre. Rodri lends it to Bernardo Silva, then gets it back and then shuffles it back into the path of the new signing from January, Mark Gay, who just gets harassed a little bit by Joe Willock over on that far side and Jacob Ramsey, just nudges him to the floor and gives away a free kick just short of the halfway line. I thought he looked a little bit vulnerable there. That was a bit of a soft free kick, Stuart.
Yeah, he did. He didn't have a pass on. He turned away from play, and basically I think he ran out of ideas on where to play the ball and just drew the free kick.
Play continues with Rodri over on the far side. Back into the centre circle where Ruben Dias, back in the team, his 250th appearance today for Manchester City, sends the ball perfectly out to Aït-Nouri, who's galloping down the left, a low ball into the near post, looking for Marmoush, steered away by Malik Thiaw, gets there in front of Marmoush, the Egyptian, and his goalkeeper, and puts it out for the first corner of the game to Manchester City. It's 0-0. We played a minute and 43 seconds.
Yeah, they are just looking at this set-up for a corner. Newcastle have left Gordon up and they've left Elanga up, two speed merchants, and it's 2v2 at the back. That'll be interesting if the goalie can get his claws on this and launch it.
Here is the corner in towards the near post, steered away by Hall, but only as far as Nico O'Reilly. He then gets dispossessed and Jacob Ramsey tries to funnel it forward into Gordon, but Matthias Nunez, who's pretty rapid, clips it forward down the right instead, and then Byrne befuddles himself with a missed kick and then manages to recover, but then loses out to Bernardo Silva. A little trick to play in O'Reilly down the right side of the Newcastle United penalty area. O'Reilly trying to bundle his way past Byrne. The two number 33s collide and the ball spills out behind and away for a corner kick away to our right-hand side. 2 minutes 30 seconds gone. Sell out here at the Etihad tonight in the rain in Manchester. Really good atmosphere for what is a key game as we approach the final third of the season. Bernardo Silva short to Matthias Nunez, who comes running from right back to get into a wing position. Back to Bernardo Silva, who dribbles towards the edge of the box. Willock goes across, poor challenge. Silva continues. Gordon's come back to help out. The shuffle behind for a third corner for Manchester City, and we haven't played 3 minutes yet.
I've got to say, he's one of my favourite players in the Premier League, Bernardo Silva. He does everything right, and when he's picked the ball up there, it was like going back to the early 70s and Eddie Gray running at you. He was absolutely fantastic, and it's a cat and mouse at the moment. Newcastle trying to leave two players up, City saying we'll go 2-on-2 and then spring off you.
Well, the corner has ended up going all the way back to the halfway line where City are looking to build again. Rodri, who Pep admitted actually in his press conference this week he'd been brought back a little bit too early into the Manchester City side. They were desperate to get him playing again. He said actually that was a mistake. Here is Semenyo capitalising on a Hall mistake into the centre, flashes past Haaland, goes through the other side of the penalty area and is recovered by Aït-Nouri over on the far side. 0-0 the score. Here is Rodri once again, back to Ruben Dias. Manchester City doing all the running in the opening exchanges here and looking pretty menacing coming forward as Silva goes down the right. The ball just about stays in. Voltemada's got it now. Newcastle United have got to find a way of getting high up the pitch here.
Yeah, they've given the ball away a couple of times in their final third, once with Dan Burn, once in with Hall, and you can't afford to do that. City have started extremely well on the front foot. Motherwell chasing a European spot in the Scottish Premiership. They lead by 2-0 away at Falkirk at St Mirren tonight, and the ball is sent forward here by Newcastle's back line up towards the far side, and it goes straight out of play and away for a throw in deep inside
their own territory. Manchester City had a rare free midweek. Newcastle were in Azerbaijan. Eddie Howe and his team returned at 4 a.m. on Thursday morning from Baku. He was pretty clear, though, Stuart, with the players that there was a necessity to recover, yes, but the idea of being at your best for a game against Manchester City is a sobering thought, and that in itself focuses the mind. No excuses, you've got to go there and do a job.
Yeah, and in some ways you're probably better off having an away game after a journey like that with all the fatigue that comes into it. You're better off being away, because all of a sudden the onus is on the home side to create.
Gordon speeding down the right-hand side after dispossessing Rodri and doing brilliantly to drag his team up the pitch. He didn't manage to get enough help as he took the ball over towards that far right-hand side. It's an interesting setup here, because Gordon is playing further forward tonight, and I just wonder whether or not we were right in our assessment earlier on that actually he will be almost like the point man tonight. We'll keep an eye on his average position, but at the moment he seems to have a bit of a free role. Yeah,
and Willock playing on this left-hand side where we thought probably Gordon would play. I think that's a better formation, I really do. They're trying to get Elanga and Gordon as far forward as possible.
Here is Voltemada tricking his way down into the right-wing position, produced a cross into the centre. Not the best of clearances by Diaz, but he gets it towards Gueye, and then Semenyo picks it up and looks to escape. He's being challenged by Ramsey. Good challenge by Ramsey as well, who's going to be important in that engine room. And it goes all the way back to the halfway line, and Hall manages to keep hold of it for Newcastle United. 6 minutes gone. This is Talksport. Welcome to the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. It's been a busy old day in the Premier League and beyond today. Aston Villa drew with Leeds United. Late drama in that game. Brentford beaten at home by Brighton 2-0. James Milner broke the Premier League appearance record today. Chelsea stunned by Burnley in stoppage time. 1-0 they were leading for such a long time in the match, but they went down to 10 players when Wes Fofana was sent off, and after that there was one-way traffic, and there was a 5:30 kick-off as well. That finished 0-0 between West Ham and Bournemouth, as West Ham inched another point closer towards their rivals, who were trying to beat them in that race to avoid relegation. Ball clipped over the top for Joe Willock to chase. Matthias Nunez pushes him in the back. He goes down. It goes out of play, and the referee gives a goal kick. Nothing more than that. Willock is glancing in Tom Bramall's direction and asking for a free kick, which is not forthcoming.
Yeah, I don't think it was a free kick. Just got to be a little bit stronger than that in that situation. And as we said, I think what we've got is Gordon playing as a number 9, and Voltemada just dropping off, getting around the deep-lying Manchester City midfield player.
Well, we mentioned it didn't we, in our build-up, that Eddie Howe has been very cute in terms of changing his tactics. He was accused of playing the same way and not getting the best out of this group of players. They won 3 straight away games on the trot now, and he has just manipulated the formation. He's had to change things because of the lack of personnel that have been available to him, and Anthony Gordon going through the middle has certainly helped, it seems like, and he's doing that again tonight. Here's Trippier on halfway, heading the ball forward into the inside left channel. Willock was a little bit on his heels there, and Matthias Nunez gets it back to his goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's wearing highlighter pink clothing tonight. I was going to say Stuart Pearce wouldn't have been seen dead in that, but if it was free, definitely would be.
Given.
A bit of wrestling match going on between Byrne and Haaland. Haaland wrestled Byrne first of all to the ground, and then Byrne wrestled him back. Haaland is saying that is the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. Erling Haaland is very good, by the way, but he was 8 yards inside opposition territory, wide on the right-hand side. His next action was not going to be a goal-scoring chance. Yellow card for Dan Byrne, that's all.
Yeah, I think the reaction of the City fans probably induced that yellow card, I've got to say. Dan was certainly all over the top of him, there's no doubt about that in a wrestling match. I think he was the aggressor between the two, and it's a dangerous game to play, leaving Haaland one-on-one with anybody.
Bernardo Silva to take the free kick from inside the Newcastle United half, 12 or so yards inside it, on the wide right, back to the halfway line to Ruben Diaz, and then Bernardo Silva just shaped to drop that in behind the defence, but then noticed that there weren't too many options making a run for that, so went into the centre circle, and Ruben Diaz, who has room to try and clip the ball forward. It's not a great ball by him, it's going to go straight out of play, and it's out for a throw in the right full-back position for Kieran Trippier, with Arsenal dropping points at Wolves on Wednesday, Manchester City can cut the gap at the top of the table to 2 points tonight if they manage to get a victory. And under Pep Guardiola, boy do they come on strong at the end of a season. They averaged 29 points from their final 12 Premier League games of a campaign. In the last 3 seasons that Arsenal have been challenging, they averaged 22 from their final 11. It's far from over. Here is Bernardo Silva being harassed by Tonali, edge of the area. He wriggles out of that tight grasp and gets it back again from O'Reilly, but his ball into the box is a little bit loose and it's cleared away by Dan Burn. That took a deflection. Newcastle can't escape. Marmoush wins it back. Now Semenyo takes over. They're trying to force their way through with brute force, really. But across comes Hall to take it wide towards the left-hand side. There's a foul by Marmoush and a free kick is given to Newcastle United down by the corner flag away to our right-hand side. We played 10 minutes. You're listening to Talksport. Manchester City second in the table against Newcastle United, who started the weekend in the top 10. And it's still 0-0. And in the Winter Olympics, Team GB's gold medal match against Canada in the men's team curling, which we were watching quite intently before we came on air here tonight, is taking place in Milan Cortina. And it's anyone's guess as to how the contest will go. Both teams tied at 5-all in the 8th of 10 ends. And when the result comes through, you'll find out here on TalkSport. Thank you very much for lending us your ears. If you're driving back from football tonight, remember the Sports Bar Weekender is on air from 10 o'clock. 0371722 3344 is the number to call if you want to speak to the boys when we finish. You might have quite a lot to say about your team's performance today. It was quite a fascinating phone-in with Jamie and Jason earlier on today. The ball's loose inside the centre circle. Forward by Trippier for Newcastle United. It's going to go straight out of play, is it? No, Nunez is going to keep it in. It's flicked on by Marmoush after a volleyed clearance, and then he sends it towards the far side. Rodri nods it into the path of O'Reilly, who's just over the halfway line, and then it's motored on into the feet of the Spaniard and out wide to the left, and now Aït-Nouri, who's about a yard in from the left touchline. Back into Bernardo Silva. Rodri again, and then Silva. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Overhit by Silva. That's going to go down the throat of Nick Pope.
Yeah, as I say, Newcastle have got to play this game of cat and mouse. Yes, you've got to defend deep against Man City, but you've got to have an outlet as well that stays reasonably high up the pitch. Otherwise, you'll never get out against City and they'll strangle you.
Tonali dropping deep and giving the ball almost to Nico O'Reilly, and now it is going to reach O'Reilly because Trippier wasn't quick enough to get on the end of it, and he apologises for not reading that pass. And it goes back to Gay, and Manchester City will build again. Their form is strong, Stuart. 1 defeat in 14 Premier League games, 32 points from an available 36 at home. Top scorers in the league, 54 goals. They're the only Premier League side yet to win a point when trailing at half-time, but they rarely trail at half-time. They've scored in the first half of 11 of their last 12 Premier League home matches. Just having a look at the Newcastle bench behind Jason Tindall and Eddie Howe, and it is threadbare, although Joel Linton is back, which is a massive bonus. Don't have too many options, so many out.
Yeah, certainly have. And while you mentioned Joe Linton, and we're talking about, you remember in a previous life, Joe Linton was the centre forward until they dropped him back a little bit and he became one of the best midfield players, I think, in the Premier League. And then all of a sudden, the same might apply to Gordon now, you know, switching to a forward role.
And Voltemada as well, dropping a little bit deeper as Marmoush tries to poke the ball forward to O'Reilly, edge of the area. He's got some space, he hits it brilliantly into the corner, past Pope. And Manchester City have taken less than 15 minutes to open their account at the Etihad Stadium. It's a brilliant drive from Nico O'Reilly, his 5th goal of the season. He puts them in front in a crucial match in the title race. Just a little bit of sloppiness on the edge of the area from Newcastle United. It was poked in his direction by Omar Marmoush, and Nico O'Reilly smacked it low. He smacked it hard and out of the reach of Nick Pope, down to his right and almost into the side netting inside the post. And Manchester City lead by 1-0.
Well, what an impressive finish by this young man O'Reilly. They freed him up. Trippier went chasing the ball, which he shouldn't have done, and then O'Reilly's drilled it into the near post. And I'll tell you what, the goalkeeper will not be too pleased with his work, I don't think. Didn't get his angles correct. He's got a fingertips to it, but the pace of it just was past him before he knew it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nick Pope probably will feel as if he should have kept out Ouattara's winner against Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. That one was probably even more that he should have kept a handle on. They play on here with Gordon going in behind, but the referee eventually blows his whistle because the offside flag is up. Gordon was looking to get in behind the defence, but Hatzidakis was very quick with his flag. But Eddie Howe will be absolutely furious about that, conceding the first goal after 14 minutes. Nico O'Reilly, who has seamlessly become a fixture in this team. He's started 21 Premier League matches this season. Scored against Bournemouth, scored against Fulham. He actually scored a goal against Real Madrid not so long ago as well. And he scored a crucial goal here. He does like a long-range effort as well. That was from just on the edge of the penalty area, wasn't it?
Yeah, Trippier was guilty there of just coming off his perch, tucking inside, trying to have a dabble at the ball. Once he didn't get it, it left O'Reilly outside him, acres of space. But I've got to say, it was still a wonderful finish by him.
Yeah, I think Trippier's been caught on a couple of occasions in this run where he's had to play a lot of games in the absence of Livramento. There's no Bruno Guimaraes tonight as well, no Botman, no Wissa, no Livramento as I mentioned, no Cher, no Miley, no Kraft, who's a good useful squad player. Ball over the top for Gordon to chase. He's got Gay for company. Oh, he's headed that down beautifully into the penalty area he goes. Willock is joining inside the area. He cuts back on his right foot, shoots, it's saved by the goalkeeper down low to his left, and he just had to check back because he'd taken the ball a little bit too wide and Willock wasn't really open for him in the penalty area, so he took the shot on. He forced a save from Donnarumma, but it was a save that the Italian was always going to make, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, that was the tactical approach of Newcastle, looking for that forward ball. Off went Gordon, but the recruitment of Gahey stayed with him, and that was so important, and that shows what an acquisition he's going to be for Manchester City on these counter-attacks.
Here is Ramsey on the far right edge of the area, gets challenged by Aït-Nouri, cleanly according to the referee. Semenyo picks the ball up centre field, now sends Marmouche away, and he scampers at pace out towards the left edge of the area. He cuts back on his right foot, he shoots violently towards goal, it's saved by Pope, and then Semenyo's rebound was a little bit awkward. He volleyed into the ground and it went wide of the upright and out towards this near side. It's cleaned up by Pope. Eventually Manchester City lead by 1-0. We played 17 and a half minutes on Talksport. Whenever they come forward, especially down that left hand side where I think there is a little bit of vulnerability between Chow and Trippier, they look deadly.
I'll tell you who's doing a good job for City, Semenyo. He's just tucking in off his perch when he has to, when his team are defending.
Marmouche trying to set up Bernardo Silva, who's not going to get on the end of that. It's just a little bit heavy for him, and it runs through to Nick Pope once again. But every time they get that ball in the midpoint of the Newcastle half, they spring into life. There's a little bit of extra urgency about them. The adrenaline starts to throw, and the City crowd get on their feet. They believe that there are more goals in this for them. They only got 2 against Salford last week.
I think they're starting to show that confidence, aren't they? City, that swagger a little bit's come back into their play. As I say, Semenyo just coming off his perch a little bit in a more central area and picking up and then driving with the ball, feeding it wide and then getting in the box.
Ball funneled out by Donnarumma into midfield for O'Reilly, and then back to Aït-Nouri, and back to Donnarumma again, who travels up towards the edge of his penalty area, tiptoes forward, looks up, he's looking for an outlet to kick the ball long here. He's going to go to Haaland on the right hand side. He does that. Haaland is beaten initially by Byrne and then escapes behind, and Nick Pope comes out and shovels the ball out into touch. Quickly taken throw, Matthias Nunez onto Haaland, into Rodri, bursts into the penalty area, Marmouche at the back post, across comes Jacob Ramsey, snaffles the ball up and clears it high into the stand away to our right and out for another corner, but that was quick thinking from Haaland.
See, what City are doing particularly well, they're playing the ball around at the back, which is drawing a man-to-man press on from Newcastle, and it's leaving 2-on-2, and one of that 2-on-2 is Byrne and Haaland, and Dan Byrne knows he's got to get first contacts. If he doesn't, there's a problem on hand.
Well, they've had a few problems already tonight. They trail by 1-0. We played nearly 20 minutes. You're listening to Talksport. Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent a Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Here's O'Reilly, back to Bernardo Silva, left edge of the area, ball to the far post, punched away by Pope, who comes and reads that and gets a good hand on it and sends it out towards the far corner, and it hits the corner flag and goes out for a corner kick over on the far side. They've racked those up in the first half of the game, and it's still 1-0 to Manchester City, and the corner is sent in towards O'Reilly, edge of the penalty area. A mistake, which has given the chance for Willock to break now, and he bursts over halfway. He had a big chance in the Carabao Cup semi-final they didn't take. He sends it wide onto Elanga. There's not many options in the centre apart from Gordon. He bounced forward though. It takes a deflection off of Aït-Nouri, and it's out for the first Newcastle United corner of the game. 5 corners at one end. This is the first at the other. And Newcastle have just got to make the most of it whenever they do get an option like this, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, they have. As I say, they're dealing on scraps at the moment, Newcastle, but once in a while when they do get good secure possession at the back, it's got to go forward quickly into Elanga, into Gordon, and then it's a race. Well, that chance that Gordon had when he raced away in behind the defence, he just took the ball a little bit wide. He needed to drive closer towards goal, I think, but I think it was Gay's presence that stopped him from being able to do that. Corner taken and sent in by Trippier. The header by Voltemada just is ticked over the top by Donnarumma. And Chow and Voltemada almost got in each other's way, actually. And I wonder whether or not Chow was the one who got the final touch on that. They both went up for it. It was Chow who got the final touch on it. And he's been pretty good, actually, aerially for Newcastle United. Scored quite a few goals. He's the joint top scoring Premier League defender this season, Malik Chow. And he came closest to levelling things up. Here's Tonali with the corner away to our left. It's a flat delivery, not a great one, but it falls nicely for Ramsey. Then back to Hall, strikes it, takes a deflection. It's snuck in. Lewis Hall celebrates, and Newcastle United have an equaliser. He only really ever scores against Manchester opposition, and he's done it once more. They needed to take their chances whenever they have come, and that one took a big deflection on the way through off the boot of Lewis Hall from the corner, which wasn't very well hit at all, but it snuck in past Donnarumma, and Newcastle United are level. It's a goal that will be cheered in the North East and in North London, because it's Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 1. Yeah, I think there was the deflection en route, if I'm not mistaken. Did it smash off a Newcastle back?
I think it might have been a City back, actually.
There was certainly a heavy deflection there. Yeah, I think you're right. And it's ended up in the back of the net. And as I say, it wasn't much of an opportunity, was it? But it took a wicked deflection that wrong-footed Donnarumma.
Well, Lewis Hall, whose last goal was in the defeat to Manchester United in May 2024, on his 100th club career appearance, scores the goal that levels things up. It did take a flick off Aït-Nouri, I think, and Manchester City are pegged back at home against Newcastle United. Now that is fascinating, Stuart Pearce, because it looked for all the world that Manchester City, after taking the lead, were going to run away with it, but Lewis Hall has popped up with a goal from a speculative shot from the edge of the area, and all of a sudden it's game on again.
Yeah, it is. As I say, Manchester City have probably been the side in the ascendancy in these early interactions, but Newcastle have managed to get themselves level, and that will give them a big lift.
Well, 22 minutes gone, and that ball was converted by Lewis Hall. So we had 2 goals in the first quarter of the game, which sets us up nicely. I was a little bit worried that it might be a cagier affair tonight. Well, I'm pleased to say that it's not like that at all. I've seen Manchester City a couple of times just sort of shut the door and become quite sort of mechanical. I'm pleased that they've been opened up a little bit, because it means they've got to go for it again and gives us more entertainment. I'm sure the Manchester City fans will not feel like that. I'm sure that the Arsenal fans will be sitting there celebrating every Newcastle chance, because they want them to drop points, and Newcastle have had problems actually against the top sides in the Premier League, Stuart. They've taken just 2 points from a possible 24 in the 8 games that they've had against teams from 3rd to 7th in the league. Villa, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool and Brentford. They simply cannot beat the sides around them, and they never win when they take on a team away from home that has started the day in the top 2.
I'm just looking at Pep Guardiola's body language there. When his team are building up from the back, he's giving...
Here's Marmoush taking the ball towards the edge of the area. A right-footed shot which takes a cannon off the back of a defender. It scoops into the air. It's headed away by Dan Burn and recovered by Rodri. Actually, it was fascinating in the huddle. We'll come back to that Pep Guardiola discussion in just a second. In the huddle after the goal, Dan Burn was going around just having a word with everybody just to make sure that their mentality was right. Now they've got something to hold on to here, and it will require a lot of effort to be able to see this one through. 1-1 the score, 25 minutes gone. You're listening to Talksport. You were talking about the build-up play that Pep Guardiola wasn't happy with?
No, Donnarumma's got the ball at the back and they're looking to build up Manchester City. Newcastle have gone man for man, and he's signalling to Donnarumma, play the ball out to Marmoush. He likes the Marmoush TL sort of interaction. So he's not looking to play that ball into sort of Dan Burn and Haaland. He'd prefer it to go into Marmoush. He thinks that's a better trade-off, I think, looking at his body language.
Well, his hands are firmly squeezed into his pockets of his combat trousers, black combat trousers with a black hoodie on tonight. No rain jacket at the moment as Haaland is poked down the right channel. He scoops across towards the far post. O'Reilly is there and he heads it across the goalkeeper and into the net. It's a super move, and Haaland comes up with an assist for O'Reilly, who gets his 2nd goal of the game. And Newcastle United are behind once again, just moments after equalising. This goal constructed by Haaland down the right side of the box. A beautiful flighted delivery, and arriving just in the nick-o of time was O'Reilly to make it 2-1.
I'll tell you what, all the talk before the game is the new signings and the acquisitions and one thing and another, and someone who's come out the academy system is ripping it up today. Brilliant play by Semenyo, releasing Haaland. Haaland standing one up like any good winger would, and basically O'Reilly was too powerful for Trippier at the far post.
That's a brilliant header.
It is a fantastic header.
Such a good header, because as it comes in, he gets up high, he sees where the goalkeeper is, he goes right back the other way, heading it back from whence it came, and that meant that Nick Pope, wrong-footed, could not shift his weight back to his left foot. He was never going to have a chance to reach it, and it rippled the corner of the net. Haaland jumps into the arms of his teammates in celebration, and Manchester City lead by 2-1.
Well, we saw some footage pre-game of Niall Quinn scoring headers, and he would have been proud of that one, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what, that fella as well, we talked a bit about Phil Foden and what he has to do to get into the England squad going to the World Cup. This fella's got to be in and around it, hasn't he? I mean, he's played left back, he's played left midfield, he's played centre midfield, he's great at arriving into the box. What a player to have. Thomas Tuchel's got to be thinking about including him. He did obviously include him in the autumn. He's definitely on the list for March, I would have thought.
Yeah, and you say, you know, what has Phil Foden got to do to get in the international squad? Well, what's he got to do to get past O'Reilly in this squad?
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier on. You know, the fact is he's not even playing games for Manchester City on a regular. And whilst that is the case, it's going to be difficult for him. But Nico O'Reilly, brilliant. And twice tonight he's shown his quality. There's a challenge there by Hall. Nunez has gone down rather dramatically, suggesting that he was kicked on the back of the ankle. And Stuart will tell you that doesn't mean anything until we've seen a replay where we can tell whether or not he's been actually kicked. We just have to speculate that it's possible.
Yeah, I think what he's done is put his foot across Hall, just drew the contact. What a cross by Haaland. We're just looking at the replay. That is as good as any winger. Well, it's as good as he would want, let's say.
Yeah, he would love that to be dripped onto his head, wouldn't he? There's a beautiful delivery by the big Norwegian down the right side of the box. He just clipped that up beautifully for O'Reilly, and he came powering in with a header, and it's 2-1 to Manchester City live on Talksport as the title race kicks into gear again. And those Arsenal fans that moments beforehand were cheering that Lewis Hall goal at the other end, banging their fists in frustration once more back in London and beyond. Here's Willock, formerly of Arsenal, bouncing the ball forward and then scooping it out towards the left, looking for the run of Ramsey. Newcastle's Ramsey gets up towards the left edge of the area, attacking the Manchester City goal. Good cross into the box, header forward by Willock, away by Rodri, and that's a dangerous one. Donnarumma should catch it and does, and it falls out of the sky and into the big Italian's arms. And it's 2-1 to Manchester City. And the latest odds from Betfair available, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester City to win the game at 5-1 on. Here's Gordon, right side of the area, right-footed shot, which is saved by Donnarumma. The draw is available 11-2. Newcastle to win the game are out to 11-1 now. That's all thanks to Betfair. You can play in a different league this season with Safe Sub from Betfair. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. What will Eddie Howe be thinking now, Stuart?
Well, he'll be a little bit disappointed. I mean, his team got back in on level terms, that is for sure. But they're just being pulled around a little bit by some really good play. I've got to say, sometimes you've got to turn around and say the opposition are doing well. Semenyo, like he's done now, look, he's gone and played right in the middle of the pitch when the ball's on the opposite side. That is a real danger sign if Newcastle, who are in possession of the ball, lose possession, because he is there to drive with the ball.
Whose responsibility is he? If the move breaks down right now, Newcastle have got the ball over on the right-hand side. Semenyo standing sort of almost just about 5 yards back from the edge of the centre circle. Obviously, it's expected that he's playing on the right-hand side, so Hall would pick it. Who's got to pick him up now?
Well, the biggest problem he's got, Tonali's getting treatment, so you would think that Tonali would level off a little bit and get somewhere near where he is, I would suspect. But he's been very intelligent with his play. Instead of playing out wide, out of possession, he just tucks in a little bit, and I think he's seen plenty of the ball. He was integral in the second goal, that is for sure, in the build-up play.
Well, he signed from Bournemouth on January the 9th. Tonali getting treatment over on the far side, by the way. Semenyo scored on his debut after his £62.5 million move. He's never really looked back, has he? He's got 5 goals in 9 appearances before tonight for Manchester City, and he looks a danger, but they do have dangers, don't they? And one of the things that sort of I think Pep Guardiola was a little bit upset about in the first half of the season was the lack of goals from other players that weren't Erling Haaland. Or Haaland actually has dried up just a little bit, really. He's only got 4 goals in 13 since the turn of the year. He's been suffering a little bit from a knee injury, but with Semenyo in the team, O'Reilly scoring goals, Bernardo Silva scored at Liverpool the other week, which was an absolutely crucial goal in the title race, and I think that was the announcement moment, wasn't it? It was, we're not finished yet. That goal that he scored at Anfield, he decided really, he scored it, then picked the ball up and encouraged everybody to get back and start fighting. They ended up winning that game, and they haven't looked back since. They lead here by 2-1. Tonali's still getting treatment over on the far side. They can't afford to lose another midfield player.
No, they certainly can't. Say Tonali, that adequate replacement for Bruno.
Ball picked up on the halfway line. Haaland trying to get past Byrne. Byrne fends it away. O'Reilly heads it forward, and then Haaland gets up once again and heads the ball into a channel. There was maybe just a little bit too much physical contact between him and Malik Chow, who's gone down in a crumpled heap, and it's going to be a free kick just short of the halfway line. Scores Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1 on Talksport with Sky Sports. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly, like Spurs versus Arsenal tomorrow. Live, search Now Sports. And after this game, stay with us. We'll bring you all the reaction from the tunnel tonight. Adam Catterall on Fight Night this evening. And remember, tomorrow, Sunday game day, live from the North London derby, Mickey Gray, Alex Crook, Perry Groves and I will take you around the grounds on what is a huge day in the Premier League. Loads of 2 o'clock kickoffs tomorrow as well.
Oh, it'll be a brilliant day of football tomorrow, that is for sure. The Liverpool Forest game reminds me of the first televised Premier League game, wasn't it?
It was. Yes. First day of the season. Was that the first day of the season? 92-93, I think it was, yeah. First Super Sunday.
1-0.
Yeah. Teddy Sheringham.
That's it.
Yeah.
Scored a wonderful goal.
Yeah, remember it. Yeah, those were the days, weren't they, eh? Just not that long ago. It's only 34 years, Stuart. All our yesterdays. Malik Thiaw still upset about the challenge that was perpetrated on him by Erling Haaland. Tonali still getting a little bit of treatment, has now just wandered onto the pitch again. Kieran Trippier now pleading for it. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall not happy either. They're a little bit furious that Thiaw's got to go off the pitch here, bearing in mind he feels he was fouled by Haaland, and the referee concurs with that because he's given a free kick.
Yeah.
He's actually holding it. Looks as if he's got a tooth missing or someone's whacked him in the tooth. Malik Thiaw. 2-1 the score in favour of Manchester City in the Etihad Stadium. 10 minutes to go before half-time. You're listening to Talksport. The ball is pumped forward by Nick Pope, high into the air, flicked by Byrne, drops on the edge of the D, and it's cleared away by Haaland and out towards this near side. And Kieran Trippier's got to be a little bit careful because you can hear the thundering hooves behind him of the Manchester City players, and it goes out of play and away for a throw-in eventually for Lewis Hall away to our right-hand side. Every one of the last 9 Premier League away wins that Newcastle have managed to pick up have been against bottom half sides. Winless in 10 away against top half teams. Winless in 37 away at sides in the top 2 since December 2001 when they beat Arsenal. Traditionally, Arsenal and Newcastle not the best on the road against the very, very best, and they're behind again here. Marmoush trying to beat the offside trap, brings the ball down inside the area. He's gone beyond Hall, sends it to the far post, and O'Reilly coming in at that far post, trying to complete his hat-trick. Miscues as he slips, diving into the 6-yard box. It wouldn't have counted anyway because the offside flag was up, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, it's a great ball by Gahey. Just off.
That was tighter than Superman's underpants.
Yeah, listen, I find it quite intriguing, really. The linesman didn't put his flag up for that one, and he did up this end here for Gordon's one.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Where's the correlation there between the two?
It's probably best not to go into it because we had. Do you remember the VAR situation we had last week involving Aston Villa and Newcastle?
Indeed.
And the situation there with the assistants and the communication with the referee, it wasn't great. Let's just say that.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yes, let's just move on. Here's Ramsey on this near touchline. Into Lewis Hall. Back to Ramsey. Oh, dear. Just on different wavelengths and didn't stretch properly to reach it. And it was a bit behind Ramsey and goes behind and out for that's on the sideline and away for a throw-in to Manchester City, who lead by 2-1, scoring through O'Reilly twice. In between time, Lewis Hall got Newcastle back in the game, but Newcastle eventually succumbing to yet another Manchester City attack, and it remains 2-1. In the curling, the men's team curling gold medal match in Cortina, it's been a disastrous 9th end for Team GB. Have conceded 3 to Canada, who now lead 8-6 as we head into the 10th and final end. Looks like they're second favourites now. Newcastle second favourites here now as City come forward again with Aït-Nouri up towards the left edge of the area, sends it down the side of the box for Semenyo, who's low cross into the near post, is too close to Nick Pope, who pats it down and is able to clear for the visitors. And again on the starters block, Salanga trying to spring in behind. He puts a low cross into the area. Gordon is arriving. He's just a little bit too wide, but he could pull that back to Ramsey. Doesn't do so. Goes to Willock instead. He tries to bend it towards the far corner, but it's a routine save from Donnarumma. And Alanga's not happy about that because he had more room over on the far side.
Yeah, I thought it was a great ball by Trippier. Slid it up the wing to Alanga. Alanga's got onto it and he's played it across the face of goal. I think he's got to take that himself. I think he's played it too early. Gordon wasn't in position to tap in the middle of the goal.
Why would he take it so early? Because he was always asking too much of Anthony Gordon in that area. Is that lack of confidence?
That's probably what I'd put it down to. I think the right thing to do would be to take that and then see front Gahey up, give Gordon the opportunity to get in, alternatively try and take him on and beat him.
Well, one of the things that Newcastle would have noticed, I mean, it hasn't happened so much in the last couple of weeks, but certainly it is something that's been a bit of a theme of 2026, is that Manchester City have slowed up in second halves of games. It happened in the Carabao Cup game between the two here, and they will certainly hope that that continues, that trend here tonight. We're just approaching 6 minutes before half-time. It's 2-1 to Manchester City, and City are on the attack with Rodri, who's 5 yards outside the box, sends it into the centre. Burns sort of flicks at it. It goes out towards the corner flag. Matthias Nunes chasing with Lewis Hall. The ball ricochets off Hall and goes out for a throw-in down by the corner flag away to our right-hand side. Busy old day in the Premier League. Aston Villa scoring a very late goal against Leeds. That game finished all square. Chelsea all square with Burnley, who scored in the 93rd minute of the game against 10-man Chelsea, who've had 8 players sent off this season alone. And West Ham drew with Bournemouth, and Brighton beat Brentford away from home in the Premier League. Great win for Portsmouth in the Championship. Borough dropped points. Coventry won away, worrying West Brom. Here is O'Reilly down the left into the penalty area looking for Haaland, who heads it backwards rather than forwards. Voltemada gets it clear, and Anthony Gordon is asked to race upfield, and he knocks it past Diaz and then tries to go on the outside. Diaz brings him down. That's going to be a yellow card for Ruben Diaz, who gave himself no option really, because Gordon, stuck on the afterburners, was burning past him at rapid pace, and Ruben Diaz had to take emergency action.
Yeah, good play there by Gordon. He's just took it first time, made it a foot race, and Diaz used all his experience, just got the arm across the chest, pulled him down and took the yellow card.
And it was taking the yellow card, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think if the referee didn't book him, he'd have walked across to the referee, picked the pocket of him and booked himself.
Yeah, just give it here. Just give it here. It gives a free kick to Newcastle United, and they have already caused a problem from the set piece. Tonali's poor delivery into the box ended up at the feet of Lewis Hall, and he smacked it beyond Donnarumma and went into the net. Tonali is about to take this free kick, which is just 2 or 3 yards in from the left sideline, midway inside the Manchester City half of the field. It'll be Tonali to take it, right-footed, arcs it towards the penalty spot where Dan Burn is arriving, and Dan Burn is scoring for the second time in the game. Newcastle have scored from a set-piece, or have they? The offside flag belatedly goes up from Kon Hatzidakis. Burn was celebrating, and then 2 or 3 seconds after that, the flag went up. Let's have a look at it, Stuart Pearce. Was he?
Yes, I think he just was, if that's him at the near, but yes, just offside. The grimace on Eddie Howe's face looking at the screen in the technical area probably told you the story.
Well, Jason Tindall is having a go at him and saying to him, why did you go early? That was a great free kick. The VAR has checked it, the offside has been confirmed, and Newcastle United have missed a great opportunity. Do you know what though? I mean, there was a push there by Diaz that pushed him into an offside position.
Exactly that. It'd be interesting to see whether that's deemed as a free kick or alternatively, well,
as the ball comes in, he's pushed by Diaz, so surely they should either retake the free kick.
Well, while the ball's in flight, you cannot take a free kick, can you? You know, you've got to give a decision one way or the other. Either you deem it a penalty or you don't, and you play on.
Well, if that touch happened, we only saw the angle of him actually pushing it. We didn't see where the kick point was. If it happens before the ball is kicked, they have to retake it. If it's after the ball is kicked, it's a penalty. And we need to see another replay of that. Either way, Newcastle might feel a little bit hard done by. Hall trying to wriggle out of a tight little grasp with Rodri. Hall gets it anyway. Does so brilliant in tight areas. Hall. Elanga sent down the side. Gay comes across to meet him. He's on the left side of the area here. Elanga getting to the edge of the box. Gordon wants it. Gordon takes it. Gordon moves into the box now and tries to go in between the two centre-backs. He takes a bump off Gay, goes to ground, but the referee's not going to give anything for that. And it's cleared away by Donnarumma. The one thing I will say about this first half, Stuart, with 90 seconds to go before we blow the half-time whistle, is that there's some encouragement here for Newcastle United.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say, certainly until a third goal comes. Brilliant hold-up.
And that might come now because Semenyo has been released by Haaland, and he's tried to tuck it left towards Marmoush, and he just drove the Egyptian a little bit too far wide. Ball collected again by Manchester City's Aït-Nouri. Midpoint of the Newcastle half is Rodri. He's square onto Nunez now. And Newcastle have got everybody back behind the ball here as Gay strides forward. Feeds it into Bernardo Silva. Back from Marmoush to Bernardo Silva again, who runs laterally, then feeds Rodri. Rodri has got a new haircut for the weekend. Guides it back to the halfway line. And Manchester City inch towards the break. We've got 30 seconds before half-time. Newcastle haven't won at the Etihad since October 2014, and that is their only win here. That was in the League Cup. Here's Haaland from the edge of the area, striking low towards the goalkeeper's right. Nick Pope had that covered all the way, and it dribbles behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1.
I'll tell you what, Haaland's done well today. I've seen him have a lot of interactions. He's held the play up well. And there's a lot of times you've come here and, well, it's a bit harsh, this statement. A lot of times you come here and you think, well, he's not participating. What's he doing? You know? But in this game especially, he's held it up well. He's running behind. He's created the goal. He's been a jack of all trades.
5 minutes of added time at the end of the first 45. Seems like quite a lot, really, for not very much in terms of transgressions in that first half of the game. The ball's gone out of play anyway, and it's out for a throw-in in the right full-back position. I'm sure Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall would have some positive things to say about this first half. A couple of negative things would be the scruffiness with which the two goals that they have conceded have come by. A bit of a mistake by Trippier, actually, on both of the goals, really. Failing to deal with O'Reilly. And Newcastle United find themselves 2-1 down, but they almost sprung there because they had three players that were beyond the defensive line. The issue is that Matheus Nunes was playing them all on, Stuart.
It was, and it's those little interactions that City have got to guard against, you know. That's why Newcastle will be a continual threat from start to the end of this game, while the scoreline's only one goal. They've got the ability to go from back to front very quickly and in behind.
Motherwell beating St Mirren by 3-0 now as they look to chase the big boys at the top of the table. Celtic and Rangers play tomorrow. Hearts 1, stretching their lead at the top of the table to 5 points today. And we'll keep you updated with both Celtic and Rangers games tomorrow. Remember, the Steel City Derby is on Talksport 2 tomorrow lunchtime. And that's live on Talksport 2. What a big game that is. As Aït-Nouri moves up towards the edge of the area, feeds it in towards O'Reilly. It goes back to Elanga after a Newcastle clearance and then rebounds to halfway. And Manchester City have got it back again.
How old's Bernardo Silva?
Bernardo Silva is 31 years of age.
31. The distance he travels in games, it's just perpetual motion watching him.
Here is Marmoush up towards the edge of the area, right-footed shot, he unloaded one there, and Pope went diving towards his near post. And actually, I think if that had just tucked inside the post, then Pope probably wouldn't have got there, because he flung himself, and it was such an early shot from Marmoush, it might have caught everybody out.
Well, he's hit that with massive dip, but trouble is he just hit across it a little bit, didn't he, and pulled it beyond the post.
Yeah, pulled that right towards the left-hand side, and that just dragged it away from Nick Pope. And it remains 2-1 to Manchester City as we approach half-time here on Talksport at the Etihad Stadium. A couple of those who are Tunnel Club members have just walked up the gangway away to our right-hand side to get their a la carte half-time refreshments. Here is... you got your a la carte half-time refreshments? We've got your dairy milk, I think. No? What's that, an Eccles cake?
Eccles cake. I've gone full Manchester.
Oh, good on you. We like that. Here is Trippier clipping the ball over the top for Elanga. Elanga brings it down, tries to travel infield. He's being marshalled by Aït-Nouri. Comes back to Tonali, who switches the play to the left-hand side, and Ramsey now takes it on. And well, he went to go and dance towards the edge of the box, but it was offside. I mean, that's pretty negligent, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. Good switch of play, good hold-up play by Elanga. And then, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure it is offside. It's really, really tight. Now, And
why is the linesman flagging for that?
Well, the linesman to our left flags for everything. The one to our right, let's play go to a finish. Yeah, very strange.
Well, you're supposed to. If it's within 5 yards, keep the flag down.
That was within 5 centimetres.
It wasn't even that.
No.
Ball cleared by Donnarumma, upfield. The problem is if that is so marginal and they went on and, what if he scored in that situation? Then they went back and found out that actually he was onside.
Yeah.
Which is what is supposed to happen.
Indeed, that's what VAR was designed for.
Rodri, it's 3-on-2 here in Manchester City's favour as Newcastle overcommit. He's fed Marmoush to the edge of the area, tries to come back in past Chiao. He shoots towards the near post instead of trying to get it in the far post, and that's smothered by Pope rather easily. He didn't get behind it. I think as he cut back in, it just took a nick off Malik Chiao, which did enough to put him off.
Yeah, Chiao has got to keep him outside him. He can't let him check inside. When he's let him check inside him, Marmoush has got to go for that far corner, like you said.
Here is Eight Nori over on the far side. We've nearly played our 5 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, and it looks like they just want to get in at half-time, both teams now, and they will do that. Eddie Howe is not happy. He goes down the touchline. He's got a few words to say at the break. Newcastle have won just one of their 8 Premier League games in which they were trailing at half-time, which statistically doesn't give them that much encouragement, but there has been encouragement in that first 45 for them, and encouragement for Arsenal fans as well. 2 Nico O'Reilly goals, though, have given Manchester City the edge at half-time. Newcastle United did score in between those two, but they trail at the break by 2-1.
Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce, your commentary team here at the Etihad, and the live football keeps on coming across the Talksport network over the next few days. The Steel City derby tomorrow at high noon at Bramall Lane. Wouldn't Sheffield United just love to be the team that relegates Sheffield Wednesday, the first team ever to be relegated from the Championship in February? That's a 12 o'clock kickoff with Jim Proudfoot and Chris Owellamo, your commentary team, whilst Sam, who's alongside me tonight, will take you around the grounds here on Talksport from 1:30 with Game Day Live. 4 Premier League games, 3 of which kick off at 2 o'clock, and the North London derby, which Paul Hawksby famously calls akin to being a trip to the dentist. Spurs against Arsenal. They will sneak Perry Groves into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with the comedy nose and glasses so he can get down the Tottenham High Road without being accosted, and he'll be alongside Sam and Alex Crook for that North London derby. And it's all a question of how close Manchester City get to Arsenal by the time we get to that kick-off at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. Stuart Pearce is alongside me at half-time. And the first half has all been about the slickness of Manchester City's approach, play and finishing. That second goal in particular had class and quality, Stuart, written all over it. You've got Semenyo's ball, the run of Haaland, the cross of Haaland, and the strength of O'Reilly was magnificent to watch.
Yeah, I think you've probably named 3 players there that would stand out players in this first half. I think there's been some good performances, but Semenyo's got on the ball in a more central area and driven with it pretty well. Haaland has been integral in a lot that's played, and O'Reilly's 2 goals, absolutely beautiful.
The first one in particular, the way he lets the ball run across his body, and that's a very difficult skill because the ball was travelling a bit, he lets it run across his body, doesn't take a touch, and cuts across it first time. I mean, I know you mentioned Pope. I think the fact the ball's swerving away from him makes the save more difficult. He did get fingertips to it.
Yeah, he certainly got fingertips. I just think he's body position should have been to his right half a yard, Pope, maybe.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, I've got to say, you're absolutely right. He's taken the shot at the optimal time. He's put enough pace, enough swerve on it to cut the reaction time of Pope down.
In between that, Newcastle got themselves back in it. It was you don't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, and that's exactly what Lewis Hall did. Right, I'm smacking this back into a crowd of bodies, and he got the benefit from it, Stuart.
Yeah, I thought the opportunity to shoot was gone, actually. The City players got out and shut him down reasonably well, but managed to get his finish away. And as you say, you take a chance, you get a solid deflection, and they're back in the game, and you think, well, you know, you're waiting for City to go on and win this game. I think it's up in the air because Newcastle have got attacking threat, Dan.
So exactly what I was about to say to you. That jeopardy still remains. You had that moment towards the end of the half where there was a potential 3-on-1 break for Newcastle, but the ball was hit too heavy over the top. So that jeopardy does remain as we go into the second half, doesn't it?
You can see Newcastle's tactical approach in this game, and probably all the time they come. Because their attributes, they've got good pace in their ranks. They're looking to pop that ball over the back of Manchester City's back line and make a race of it. And to be fair, Diaz has had to galvanise a booking to stop one attack. And Mark Gahey, who's been flat out trying to stay with the likes of Elanga and Gordon, that's why he's been brought to this football club, to deal with these one-on-ones, has done well enough to stop them getting clear finishes.
And somebody's going to have to explain to me why VAR is happy to investigate an offside from a free kick, but not a push before the free kick is taken to put a player in an offside position. Because I think, Stuart, that Ruben Diaz pushed Dan Burn before Sandro Tonali took that free kick. So they're happy to look at one thing but not at another. That's what drives me crazy about VAR. They're happy to inspect some things but not others. Just let the game go.
I would love to throw some clarity on that statement, but I have none for you, I'm afraid. Totally agree with you.
It is 2-1 to Manchester City at half-time here at the Etihad Stadium. Let's get the latest odds from Betfair, the official partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sub from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Joe Dyer is back with us from Betfair. Joe, what have we got in running so far?
Yeah, well, City with that lead, they are short odds on, as you'd expect, to go on and take all 3 points, which they desperately want. So you get 2-9 on City going on and getting the win here. Newcastle, a massive 14-1 for a potentially unlikely comeback, let's face it, and it's 9-2 on the draw, which does seem a runner, given the goals we've seen in this game so far. And I said at the preamble that we expected to see goals in this game. It was 4-9 that we see over 2.5, and we've already breached that target. So how many more will we see? It's 3-4 that will get more than 4.5 goals. 13-5 that will see an absolute cracker with over 5.5 goals. And again, just a little touch in on the players who might score those goals. Well, the big man, Erling Haaland, no goal yet, but he has an assist. You can get odds against 5-4 on him scoring in the game now with another 45 minutes to go. But attempt a few. And for the visitors, it's Walter Marder is 9-2 and Gordon 6-1. But the headline is that City are just 2-9 to get that win and close the gap to Arsenal to just 2 points.
Top man Joe, thanks very much indeed. That odds update, all thanks to Betfair. For verification, see betfair.com. It's over 18s only, please. Conditions apply. Go to gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sub from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So the groundsmen hard at work on the field with their pitchforks, tidying things up ahead of the second half, which we will bring you live here on Game Day exclusive on Talksport. The halftime score, Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1.
Game Day exclusive on Talksport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like West Ham United versus Bournemouth live today. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
It's another day at Screwfix, and so Mo Farah is still getting to grips with things.
So, Mo, with Sprint Delivery, we get the order to them in as little as 20 minutes. Mo? Mo?
Done. He was on the 18th floor.
Nice work. But, you know we use delivery riders, right?
Oh, now you tell me.
Sprint it in as little as 20 minutes. Screwfix. No stopping you. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a tree, playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
He's having a blinder. He's clipped the post. He's looking formidable. Then... substitution. His game might be over, but yours isn't. With Betfair's Safe Sub, your bet simply rolls onto the player coming on. Playing a different league with Betfair.
Valid on selected leagues and markets only. Applies to singles, multiples and bet builder bets on qualified player outcome selections. Does not apply to odds boost. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
The beautiful game doesn't stop at the final whistle, and neither does the sun.co.uk. So you can go beyond the last kick with expert insight into the big moments and in-depth analysis of tactics, plus the latest breaking news and exclusives. And you can get it whenever and wherever you want it. To keep up with every kick, just head to thesun.co.uk. It's unbeatable.
The Philly cheese stack is back at McDonald's and it's still intensely cheesy. Imagine the cheesiest thing ever. Now cover it in cheese. Add 2 beef patties, cheddar cheese sauce, crispy onions, and even more cheese. The Philly cheese stack. Did we mention it's cheesy? Available until the 16th of March 2026 from 11 a.m. Fees apply to delivery orders. Price and participation may vary, subject to availability.
Imagine a place where you can escape for a day. Get immersed in a world of rooms, inspiration and expertise. Where you can laze in luxury accommodation. And kids can feast from 95 pence. Tickets are free to everyone and include all the attractions. You've just imagined a day out at IKEA. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Incredible scenes here at the Village Hotel's Pub and Grill. Fans are taking their place in the fan zone with stadium-style seating, amazing views on huge screens, and we're underway. Lovely bit of dribbling there as she tackles the burger stack. Now they're getting down the wings. Sticky barbecue, unbelievable. Oh, and he's hit the bar. And it's there! His favourite ice-cold beer. What a result! Catch every game live in the Pub and Grill at Village. Get in! Find out more at villagehotels.com.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Award-winning live football commentary. Game day exclusive. Talksport.
Well, this is Game Day exclusive on Talksport. Ami and Danta at the Etihad Stadium. The half-time score here in our exclusive commentary is Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1. 2 goals from Nico O'Reilly, a left-footed pile driver and a wonderful header from Erling Haaland's cross. Lewis Hall with a deflected effort in between those 2 Manchester City goals. And there is some jeopardy in this game when you consider the pace that Newcastle have got up front. Can they bring that to bear to pressurise Pep's men in the second period? Players are still yet to come out. As Sam mentioned, throughout that first half, we've had the men's curling final in the Winter Olympics going on at the moment in Milan Cortina. And sadly, Team GB lost that final for the second successive games. They're going to pick up silver. They lost 9-6 to Canada. The penultimate end was what did for them in the 10-end final. It's Team GB's 4th medal of these Winter Games. 3 golds and a silver. Coming up after us, it's Fight Night with Adam Cattrall and Gareth A. Davis. There's a big fight in Nottingham tonight. Lee Wood's super featherweight rematch with Josh Warrington. They'll keep you updated with all of that on Fight Night, plus all the fallout from the Tyson Fury press conference and John Fury and Carl Froch and all that, frankly, nonsense pantomime stuff that went on at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in midweek. Is there going to be any pantomime at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow? We'll find out. Perry Groves will be alongside Sam and Alex Crook as part of Game Day Live. 4 Premier League games, including the 4:30 kickoff with the Gunners against the Lily Whites. And on Monday evening, Talksport's going to bring you live and Premier League exclusive coverage of Everton taking on Manchester United at Hill Dickinson Stadium. And I'd also like to point you in the direction of Talksport's current podcast series entitled How to Win the World Cup. There's a new episode out of that show. Comedians Matt Ford and Lloyd Griffith, they sit down with journalist Henry Winter to discuss his experience of covering 9 World Cups in a row and just how much the media can influence what happens on the pitch. That's available now on the TalkSport app or your favourite podcast provider. Let's look back at the tea time kickoff, which did finish goalless between West Ham United and Bournemouth at London Stadium. Let's hear from the West Ham boss Nuno Espirito Santo, who remained positive despite his side failing to secure all 3 points.
It was a tough game. We knew that Bournemouth is a very good team. But you look at the game overall, I think we did a good game. We performed well, we were compact, we were solid, we had good situations. And we had chances. We had chances that unfortunately they didn't game through. But the team show resilience, show composure, organization. So once again, we are sad about the result, but keep believing that as long as we keep competing like that, things are gonna improve.
Meanwhile, his opposite number, Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola, he spoke after the 0-0 draw. He downplayed Bournemouth's chances of European football at this moment in time.
I think we need to win one more game. Arrive now, we are 38, arrive to 41. Forget about every problem we can have, about a relegation battle or whatever, that we shouldn't, but the sooner we win this game, the better, and then we see where we are there. I think the distances now in the Premier League are especially in those positions, are minimal. I think in 3-4 points you find 8-9 teams, so it's going to be a matter of who finishes in a good moment.
Andoni Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, who came close, Rayan, with a shot that grazed the post on its way wide after a silky run downfield from this new wunderkind who's arrived at Bournemouth, but it stayed goalless. Referee just on his way out here at the Etihad Stadium. Don't forget that when it comes to midweek, we've got all the football covered on the Talksport network. Tuesday night, Adrian's back with kick-off going around the grounds in the Champions League and the EFL with Charlie Adam and Darren Ambrose alongside him. I'm going to be at the Riverside on Tuesday night for a Talksport 2 exclusive EFL commentary. Middlesbrough dropped points at home today in the Championship at home to Oxford, who themselves are in the relegation zone. How will Middlesbrough fare against Leicester, who got a point in Gary Rowett's first game in charge? That's our Tuesday night offering on Talksport 2. Back here, as we prepare for the second half, Manchester City are making a change at the break. To talk you through that and the rest of the second half, alongside Stuart Pearce, is your match commentator Sam Matterface.
Yes, well, interestingly, Ruben Diaz has come off at the start of the second half to be replaced by Abdul Kadir Kusanov, which I can only think is to do with injury, making sure that he doesn't get himself into further trouble with the yellow card that he picked up just before half-time. Stuart Pearce, we'll see. A bit of footballing history for you, Pearcey. 50 years this week since Manchester City beat Newcastle United in the 1976 League Cup final at Wembley. Dennis Stewart's famous overhead kick winning it by 2-1 as we get back underway. It might be nice at some point in this second half to reflect on 1976. Flares, sideburns, Main Road. I'm sure that you at the time were getting ready for your punk era.
It was just creeping in at the time. I think I was 14 years old at present. The hot summer.
We'll get, the drought, as it used to be known, of 1976. We'll reflect a little bit on 1976 because we know you're the man with the big brain very shortly, especially when it comes to top UK hits from around that era.
You're dripping sarcasm at the moment.
Manchester City, though, on the run, up through the middle of the pitch, looking to try and reach Haaland. Haaland runs into Trippier. The ball bounced back to Antoine Semenyo, and it's cleared away. Manchester City in light blue jerseys, white shorts and light blue socks, attacking the goal away to our left-hand side in the second half. Newcastle United in dark blue with orange trim, attacking the goal away to out right in the second half, and no changes for them. Lots of space on the far side for Ramsey if Baltamada can find him, and he does that now. He gallops towards the edge of the area, gets into the box, hands it off to Hall. His cross hits a hand, does it? The referee says no. The Newcastle supporters behind the goal certainly asked for it. Baltamada's got it again. Ramsey out to the far side. 2-1 the score here, and Newcastle just causing a bit of a problem there for Manchester City, and there was a lot of room for Ramsey to gallop into. Maybe they didn't make the most of it. VAR would have checked that, but nothing doing at the moment. More space on that left for Hall, and then to Ramsey once more. And Ramsey now on the left angle of the penalty area, looking for a way to get to the 18-yard box. He nudges it back to Tonali. A good little body weave from Hall past Rodri. Into Gordon it goes. He then gets tackled by Rodri on the edge of the area, and the ball is cleared away by Nico O'Reilly. Here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, just run flat, that last attack. And just the substitute from City, I think, Sam, was a combination of the yellow card for Diaz, but they put a lot more pace in their back line now with Kusanov, haven't they?
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Sensible. Yeah. Very sensible.
Kusanov very speedy. Yellow card out for Ilanga. Or was that Joe Willock who's got it? Referee was sort of wafting it in Langa's direction, but I think it was Willock who certainly made the offence. It's a free kick anyway, and Willock is the man who I think has picked up the yellow card here. It remains 2-1 to Manchester City. Free kick on halfway. VAR would have had a look at that incident inside the penalty area, but doesn't appear to have been anything in evidence. Given away sloppily by Semenyo, then picked off by Rodri. I think because Semenyo's wandering into a more central position, it has just left a little bit more room out on that left-hand side, and with Hall and Ramsey now stationed out there, it means that when Newcastle do break, it's Nunez against those two, and that's where early in the second half they've got a bit of space, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, certainly is. As I say, Semenyo quite enjoying playing in that tucked-in sort of role. He drifts out wide every now and then, but he quite enjoys it, sort of almost a number 10 role on occasion.
Right, here is Bernardo Silva. Kusanov out to the far side. Goes back infield to Kusanov once again, and then it's picked up by Bernardo Silva. 4 minutes into the second half. It's been pinched again off Semenyo's toes by Ramsey this time. That was a challenge that was a little bit over-exuberant from Bernardo Silva, and he might too be walking into the referee's notebook. Yellow card.
Yeah, poor challenge.
He sort of almost had to make that decision.
He's got a hint of ball, but he's took a big dollop a leg as well.
1976 then. I know that you would have been listening to the charts around that time. So a big chart here, a UK rock song that was dominating the charts at that time. A couple of clues, no passes, no help from Ian Danta. It was sitting at number 1 in the UK singles chart early in 1976 after first hitting the top of the chart the previous year. It's by a British rock band who would go on to become one of the biggest in history. Huge hair, big guitar solos.
I'm going for Queen here.
Oh, okay. It's a song.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, he's got it in two. Fantastic. I thought we were going to have to go right into the clues that included Wayne's World, but no. Ball sent long by Trippier up towards Byrne. Bit of a push there by Aït-Nouri, and he's given away a free kick. It might be Bernardo Silva actually who was guilty of the push here. Byrne. And then, well, Bernardo Silva probably deserves a second yellow card for that, because he went up to Byrne, jumped into his body with his shoulder. His eyes were not on the ball. He should be sent off.
Yeah, and that was... He's got away with probably being small in stature and baby-faced. He's like Deck, our producer. Gets away with murder where me and you couldn't get away with anything.
I know. We don't get away with nothing.
But... as I say, very, very premeditated by Bernardo Silva, but Newcastle got the opportunity to pop one in the box now.
Well, it could have been a second yellow card in quick succession for Bernardo Silva. It's not, it's just a free kick to Newcastle United. Dan Burn complained about that. He's got the Newcastle captain's armband on again tonight. The free kick about to be taken by either Tonali or Hall, who are standing over it. It's left side, 6 yards outside the penalty area. And it might be an in-swinger from Hall here, which will aim to cause damage at the far post where Byrne and Voltemada are being marshalled by Haaland. In it goes towards the near post, and it ripples the side netting. And the Newcastle fans behind the goal, some of them thought that had snuck in beyond Donnarumma, and it almost did.
Yeah, I've got a feeling the replay will show this was well wide of the goal. I may be wrong there. Yeah, that was well wide of the goal. To be fair, it's hit the back of the side netting outside of the goal.
Well, the Newcastle fans got excited for a moment, which rather pleased the gleeful Manchester City supporters, who realised very quickly that it wasn't in. It remains 2-1. 5-0 to Motherwell in the Scottish Premier League tonight. Another good victory for the boys from Fir Park. They're away from home at St Mirren this evening. Here is Marmouche at the other end, trying to get into the penalty area, seeing it back for Semenyo. Semenyo takes a heavy first touch. Rodri recycles it, keeps it alive. Offside flag is up over on the far side by Mr. Trigger Happy, and eventually a goal kick is given. Irrelevant, by the way. There's no need for him to flag there, because the ball did not go in the direction of the player who was in an offside position.
You know what? Yeah, I think he's flagged for that one. I had a feeling that the one earlier, the actual through ball, might well have been offside as well, which we played on with.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that it was offside. I think he's getting a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's got big biceps and a big strong chest, as Hatzidakis. He's just, maybe he's doing a bicep exercise.
A few curls over there, do you think?
With that flag, that's what he's doing. He's getting confused. Thinks he's back down the gym. Here is Ilanga. Back to Trippier. Trippier tries to send it forward. Stooping low to head it was Gay. Heading forward again was Trippier over the halfway line. A flick on by Gordon. Voltemada trying to get there. He holds off Rodri, who's tugging his shirt. The ball's been played to Ramsey. Outside of the penalty area, left side is Hall, whose cross is too big. It goes right the way through the box. And Langer can't keep that in. And it goes out on the far side. But again, more encouragement from Newcastle United in this second half. It's City 2, Newcastle 1 on Talksport with Sky Sports. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly, like Spurs versus Arsenal live tomorrow. Search Now Sports. Here's Semenyo bustling his way past Ramsey, getting to the edge of the D, left-footed shot, 3 points for a conversion over the top of the crossbar. Talking of which, actually let's not talk of which, because it was so bad for England today, wasn't it, that we probably shouldn't even bother mentioning it. But well, Scotland beat Wales by 26 points to 23. Didn't have the best of days, but they ended up winning that match. And Ireland absolutely ripped England to shreds, 42-21.
I think Goldstein went to that one, his first ever rugby game. So
what you're saying is he's the jinx.
Well, has he got any Irish in him? I don't know where his loyalties lie.
Well, I'll tell you what, reaction to that defeat will be available on the Talksport Breakfast Show this Monday morning from 6 o'clock when Eddie Jones joins Ali McCoy and Arsenal invincible Ray Parlour. Monday morning, 6 a.m. on Talksport Superstar Breakfast. Looking forward to that. Well, a bit of wrestling going on over on the far side. Dan Burn and Bernardo Silva. Well, Dan Burn now being barracked by the crowd for a second yellow card. I tell you what, Bernardo Silva's got a cheek, hasn't he? He was wrestling with Haaland. It was 50-50 that. And there was a little push at the end from Dan Burn, but it wasn't warranting of a second yellow card. Whereas I think Bernardo Silva, who was asking for the second yellow card, needs to remember that he's just launched himself without looking at the ball with his shoulder into the chest of the former Asda employee.
Yeah, I think there was a definite, maybe a pull on the shirt. I accept that. Dan Burns just trod on the back of his heel and took his boot off. That's where the problem lie, not so much the push.
Right.
Been a good battle, those two.
Yeah. Cherky about to come on. Ball clipped forward. Burn prods it away. Hall gets there ahead of Marmouche. It's 2-1 to Manchester City on Talksport live at the Etihad Stadium. Ball sent wide out towards the right. A little trickle down the right-hand side for Ilanga, who tries to squeeze between Rodri and Aït-Nouri. And then it goes all the way back to Abdulkadir Kusanov, who finds his goalkeeper, Donnarumma.
He's looked a little bit more with it, Rodri, hasn't he, in this game than I've seen him in previous games.
Semenyo down the right-hand side, back to Nunez. Well, the last couple of weeks I've noticed that he's just started to find his rhythm again. He was out of tempo, not 100%, and I think Pep talked about that this week. You know, he said he's getting back to his best. He's getting back to it. We rushed him. It was our fault. And I think the dear of that was that Bodo Glimt game where he just can't cover the ground as much as he used to. I think he's been helped by having Nico O'Reilly alongside him in midfield because he covers so much ground, Stuart.
Yeah, that would be fair to say. Yeah, good little balance between the two.
Here is Rodri, trying to get away from Willock. And now they can make that substitution we referenced earlier. Rayan Cherki about to come on. It'll be interesting to see who he comes on for. I think it might be Omar Marmouche who is going to come off. It is Omar Marmouche who is replaced, and Rayan Cherki who comes on. That's done me for curse of the commentator. I had Marmouche to score. Nightmare. He's off anyway, and Cherki is on. Do we do safe sub on curse of the commentator? We should. Maybe we should add that in next season. Here's Rodri to take the free kick. We're talking about the Friday morning little battle between me and Ray Parlour that we have on Talksport Breakfast. Harvey Barnes is about to come on, and so is Joel Linton as well. So 2 changes in just a moment for Newcastle United. As the cross comes in towards Haaland inside the penalty area, he nods it back towards Cherki. It works its way out towards the left-hand side of the box that Newcastle were defending, and Manchester City still on the attack with Ryan Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri into Rodri, back to Mark Gay. Newcastle have just scored 4 second-half away goals in the Premier League this season, which is the joint fewest with Wolves. To give them a better chance, they're going to send on Joel Linton and Barnes. Here is Nunez, right side, just coming up to the hour mark on Talksport. In it goes towards Bernardo Silva. He flicks it into the path of Semenyo. Bernardo Silva again to halfway. Kushanov across to Silva. Newcastle trying to escape. We haven't seen much of Anthony Gordon in the second half, but we might now as Willock picks the ball up off of a loose pass that's gone out to Ramsey left side. He's danced in, found Gordon. Gordon is dispossessed by Mark Gay, alert as ever. Nabs it, gets it to Ryan Cherki. And a chance for Manchester City to get away, but it was a bit loose. The ball was won by Tonali. They've turned it over again after losing it again. Hall now breaks down the left-hand side for Newcastle. Needs a bit more support, plays it against Rodri, goes out of play. It's away for a throw-in level with the edge of the Manchester City penalty area.
Yeah, changes being made now. Valtamauda.
Yeah, on comes Harvey Barnes, on comes Joel Linton, off comes Willock. Great to see Joel Willock playing so many games after so many months out with injury, and great to see Joel Linton back as well in the midfield, because he hasn't featured since being taken off against Aston Villa. He missed 5 games before tonight with a groin injury. 2 goals in 19 games this season, but he's such a powerful figure in the middle of the park. And I think this will mean that Gordon is the lone striker now, with Ilanga on the right-hand side, Barnes on the left, and Tonali, Ramsey and Joel Linton as the 3 in midfield.
Yeah, definitely looks that way now. Maybe you're taking... They're going to try and dominate this central midfield area if they can, and then feed the speed merchants in front of them.
Well, Manchester City desperate to try and pile the pressure on Arsenal tonight. They know that a victory takes them within 2 points of the league leaders ahead of tomorrow's North London derby. City 9 points better off than at this stage last season. And they've scored 2 more goals and conceded 13 fewer. And of course, if they win this tonight by just a solitary goal, the goal difference between between Arsenal and Manchester City is only 1 as well. But all the while it's 2-1, there is opportunity for Newcastle United just to maybe cause a bit of a stir here. I'm just looking away at that away end, certainly a lot happier than they were 60 minutes into the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, I would have thought, even though they're still behind.
Yeah, indeed. As I say, the game's all to play for, and it wouldn't surprise you, another twist in the turn before the 90 are out.
We do like a twist and a turn, don't we?
Absolutely love it. It's a thriller, isn't it?
Here is Nunez over on the far side, trying to twist away from Harvey Barnes, and Barnes drags him back, gets the one in the eye and a yellow card. Welcome to the game.
I didn't think his first interaction in the game would be a yellow, but game's sort of just stagnated slightly, hasn't it, in this sort of last few minutes. City haven't gone forward with the verve that they showed before, and Newcastle are yet to sort of create anything.
It does feel a little bit like another one of those games where Manchester City have just started to run out of steam as they've got into the second half again. You know, it's happened quite a lot this season, especially in recent months, where they have just sort of almost applied the handbrake in the second half, and now they've seen the accelerator go on from Ilanga, who's been played in by Ramsey. A lovely turn and a play in towards his feet. The Swede goes down the outside of Aït-Nouri, who's wrestling with him and uses his body and just helps him off the ball. And Ilanga not strong enough to withstand it. It goes out of play.
Really good set-up play there by Newcastle, freeing Ilanga up in behind the back line. Great run. Very, very high line in comparison to the ball, and then to be fair to Elanga's teammates, they would have expected slightly better.
And the assistant on this near side didn't raise his flag, even though it was tight. Kept it down, just in case. Goal kick away to our right. 2-1 the score to Manchester City on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Haaland has been released down the left-hand side. Tonali comes back at him to try and block his path to the penalty area, but he scoops past him, and then Cherki finds Semenyo inside the box, left-footed. It's low, it's hard, but it didn't have enough pace or direction to get beyond Nick Pope, who dropped on the ball inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, great set-up play there. Donnarumma just finding the space this time for Haaland to run into and spring off of Byrne. And then from that moment on, the opportunity arose for Semenyo. And you get the impression that the City fans need this next goal, don't you, to ease up the any potential fight back from Newcastle.
Yeah, the longer it goes on, with the margin being so slender, then there's always the possibility of late drama. We know that Newcastle love a little bit of late drama in matches. And of course, Arsenal would love a little late twist in this game too. Oh, Trippier, he's overcommitted to that challenge. And he completely mistimed it. He's going to get a yellow card. And I don't think you can have too many complaints about that, Stuart, because he came out to meet Aït-Nouri and he was never going to win the ball.
I'd look at the replay before you make a statement like that. I don't know whether he's pulled away from that. You know, he's committed. Well, he's tried to pull away from it, and I think Aït-Nouri just sort of toed his shin just to make sure there was contact there, potentially. He's not gone through with a full challenge.
No,
he's realised he was too late to it and tried to pull away from it, but the pace in which he was coming forward was a giveaway.
There was contact, I think, between the two of them, and Aït-Nouri went spiralling. 5-0, it's finished to Motherwell in the Scottish Premier League. Here is Bernardo Silva with a left-footed free kick in towards Haaland, who tries to hit it first time but missed the target, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Pep's record against Eddie Howe is his joint most wins against any manager, 17, level with Daishi and Marco Silva. How is Haaland getting on today, do you think? He scored in his first game against Newcastle and a 3-3 at St James's Park back in August 2022, but he's failed to score in 8 consecutive appearances against them. He hasn't scored as many goals in the second part of the season as he did in the first. It was, it's 29 in 37, but he's only got 4 in 13 since the turn of the year. He's almost sort of turned provider more than anything else tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, where I wouldn't have a concern about him, let's say, but where I'm sort of a little bit disappointed in him is in games where he doesn't score, you can accept that, but what's your interaction within the game? I think today he's played his part within the game, and he's build-up work and he's, link play, if you like. I think he's done pretty well in that, so I think he's had a decent game.
Free kick to Manchester City, 5 steps inside the Newcastle half. 2-1 the score. The GP men's curling team lost their gold medal match. They finished with a silver medal around their necks. And that's the second time in 2 Olympics that they've picked up a silver medal. A disastrous end to that game. Their 4th medal at the Winter Games in total. 3 golds and a silver now for Team GB. Here is Hall trying to bring the ball out of the sky. It's fouled by Ryan Cherki. Then the ball is kicked away by Matthias Nunez. No yellow card for delaying the restart. Lewis Hall and Dan Byrne reminding the referee of that protocol. Stuart Pearce just raises his eyebrows.
A little reminder every now and then.
Little reminder.
Just in case the officials forgot any laws of the game.
23 to go before the end of the match. It's still Manchester City who lead. But Newcastle have a free kick just left of the centre circle. Dripped over the top by Trippier towards Dan Byrne, who's duelling with Haaland. It falls to Barnes, edge of the area, wouldn't come down for him. Here's Donnarumma. Oh, he comes for a punch, and then Ramsey scoops it back up into the 6-yard box. That's going to run to the far side. Bernardo Silva stops it from going out for a goal kick. Oddly, and keeps the ball in play. And Newcastle on the front foot here with Lewis Hall. Goes back to Barnes, who centres the ball once again. Byrne with another foul in the back of Haaland. He's got to be a little bit careful now, Dan Byrne, having been booked in the first half. He was sent off in the 3-1 defeat at Brentford in November. And he and Haaland have had a bit of a running battle tonight. I don't think he's going to get away with much more.
Oh, I think they've had a brilliant battle. And you know what? He's given offside. He hasn't actually given a foul. Whether it's a foul or not, I don't know. But the bottom line is Haaland's back in there. He's competing with Byrne at both ends of the pitch at the moment.
Yeah. He's getting a little bit spicy, though. And Dan Byrne has to be a bit careful.
I think if you ask both players, look, to the referee, do you want to give fouls every time we have a coming together? They'd say no, just
absolutely.
Let's get on with it, you know.
But I don't think they work like that, the officials. I don't think so. You can walk into the referee's room beforehand and say, by the way, me and Big Dan are going to have a bit of a ding-dong today, so just let it go, ref. It's Bernardo Silva down the right-hand side, moving towards the edge of the area. It comes all the way through to O'Reilly, looking for his first senior hat-trick. He sends it out to the left-hand side for Silva. Silva crosses into the box. It's headed away by Hall, and then it's picked up by Gordon and Joel Linton and then cleared away. It's currently Manchester City 2, Newcastle 1. Here are the latest odds from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage. We'll come back to that in just a second because Tonali and Elanga are escaping. Elanga trying to get the ball into the centre, gets it back towards Tonali after good defending by Abdulkadir Husanov, and then Ain't Nori then tries to clear it. Gay manages to clip it forward, and then O'Reilly can't get hold of it. Chow has it. O'Reilly drags him to the ground. And here are those latest odds from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can back a Manchester City victory at 5-1 on. The draw is 9-2. It's 20-1 for Newcastle to come back and win the game. That's all thanks to Betfair, playing a different league this season with safe sub from Betfair. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Yeah, I still feel as though there's that element of nervousness around here. They're desperate for this third goal just to extend things, make it a possession-based game for City. And Newcastle pushing.
Well, we've got 20 minutes left of normal time to play. Trippier up towards Byrne, who's still wrestling with Haaland again on the edge of the area. It's collected by Hall, who's being pursued by Semenyo. He travels back to the halfway line and feeds it to Nick Pope. And now coming forward again is Kieran Trippier for Newcastle United, who have managed to stick in the game here against Manchester City, who are chasing Arsenal at the top of the Premier League. The gap will be 2 points before they play in the North London derby tomorrow. And by the way, that's a good representation of what the table should look like if they win here today, because Arsenal have played a game more by the end of the weekend, or will have played a game more by the end of the weekend. They played their game, which has been displaced for the cup final in midweek. Here's Ramsey down the right for Newcastle United, trying to get the cross in, but Matthias Nunez blocked it and then looked to escape. Joel Linton mops up for Newcastle United, who win it inside opposition territory. Dan Burns stayed up from the free kick. It's a really good challenge by Kusanov, who's getting cheered every time he puts a tackle in now, Kusanov. I think Stuart and I have talked about him quite a lot, haven't we? And we're saying he's going to develop into a very good player once he settles into the rigours of the Premier League. And I think over the last sort of 2 or 3 months, he's shown that in different matches.
Yeah, when you consider the start he had to his City career, it was absolutely woeful, you know. He's come through that, and sometimes you've got to go through that and suffer a little bit to come out the other end a better player, and he has got that commodity of sheer pace.
He's 21 as well, isn't
exactly
he?
That.
He was 20 when he joined, poor fella. He had a difficult debut in January 2025 against Chelsea when he was hooked at half-time. Here is Haaland running towards the edge of the area, getting towards the D before unloading one which is blocked by Byrne, and it rebounds into the path of Tonali. And now Newcastle United, they look to escape, and it's picked up by Elanga on the right hand side. He moves up towards the right wing position, gives it back to Trippier, and then Elanga the Swede takes it on again. It's given by Tonali to Barnes with a swirling pass which meets Barnes on the edge of the area. He bundles his way to the edge of the box and then gets it back to Tonali. It's picked up by Trippier on this near side. And then now Alanga, right side of the box, produces a cross which takes a whack off the back of Aitnori, and it goes out for a corner kick to the away side, trailing by 2-1.
Yeah, Murphy being readied on the Newcastle bench at the moment. I don't think that'll happen before this corner.
Well, he's going to replace Alanga in just a moment. But first of all, Alanga and Hall are going to discuss the machinations that are required from this corner kick. There are 17 minutes to tick away here on Talksport. And it's Manchester City 2, Newcastle 1. They're attacking the goal away to our right. All of the Newcastle supporters in a thin slither from the bottom tier right up to the very top, waiting for some sort of action in front of them to cheer. Alanga to take the corner kick from the right-hand side. Byrne, Joel Linton and Chiao a threat in towards the near post. It's a poor delivery by Alanga, and it's easily cleared by Kusanov. Back to Alanga again. His last action before being withdrawn. Into Ramsey. Now Trippier with a chance to ready his body before getting a cross in. He took too long to do so. It goes back to Tonali. He needs to get this into the area where the big defenders are still up from the back, but he's hesitating, and Chow throws his arms up in the air as if to say, why didn't you get it forward quicker? Back to Trippier, now tries to bend it round the corner. Gordon trying to get in behind here. Haaland comes across, it's nicked against the Norwegian, it goes out of play, and it's away for another corner kick. They'll need a better delivery this time.
Yeah, I think Haaland's enjoying the sort of challenge of sort of keeping his team in it. He's doing this plenty of work defensively as well as leading the line.
Well, I think it actually went down by the corner flag for a throw-in, did it? No, it is a corner. Trippier's just gone to retrieve a ball from one of the little plinths because the fans behind the goal didn't give the ball back. It is a corner, as we initially said, with Lewis Hall to take it. With his left foot, this will be an in-swinger. Need a good delivery here. And again, Byrne and Joel Linton and Tiao will be the targets. It's sent short to Trippier. Trippier sends it towards that far post. It's headed down by Chow. It hits the back of the defender, goes into the air, and it's an easy catch for Donnarumma.
You've got Dan Byrne and Chow at that far post, and competing with them and stopping them getting a clear header is Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Here is Hall bursting forward, runs into Rodri. Referee says no foul. Manchester City turn it over and they come forward with Haaland, who was pulled by Joel Linton but kept going anyway. Now he's trying to get past Chow and Byrne and runs into the big German, who nabs the ball, and Byrne has it. And Newcastle United, who have had a lot of possession in this second half, Stuart, actually, and had most of the more inspiring attacks, are coming forward again. Kusanov away. Gordon was chasing. It's forward by Nunez back to the Uzbekistani, and it's all the way back now to Donnarumma, who will clear upfield towards Haaland. Still Murphy waits on the sideline, waiting to come on. Big Dan Byrne and Haaland clash again. The referee says no foul. You like this, don't you?
I do. I think the gloves are off now. I've just seen gum shields being strewn across the pitch. It's a proper contest between Byrne and Haaland. I think they're both enjoying the evening's work.
Yeah, maybe they did go and see Thomas Bramall at half-time and say, let's get on with it, mate.
Let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. We'll see who wins at the end of the day. Jason Tyndall just pulling now back on Jacob Murphy. Stephen Purchase, who is one of the coaches, deciding instead that they're going to bring on Will Asula here, which is interesting. Maybe they're going to do both of them at the same time. We'll see in just a second. Still Murphy stays up there. But, of course, because of the windows, they want them to happen at the same time. Here is the free kick for Newcastle United, who I think have had a better second half than Manchester City, but without really causing Donnarumma too much damage. Tonali, right-footed delivery towards the edge of the box. Byrne goes up there, headed away by Rodri, falls towards Joel Linton, who scoops it goalwards, but it's well wide of the right-hand upright and goes behind and away for a goal kick. It remains Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1. On comes Murphy, on comes Asula, off comes Elanga and Gordon here. So a double change for Newcastle United as they look to try and get a way back into this game, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I'm surprised at these changes, to be fair, because you thought potentially these two are their best way back in the game, but he's juggling the pack.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised as well. I was a little bit hesitant just to confirm that, because I didn't believe for a minute they were going to take off Anthony Gordon, but they've done that. They've made 4 changes now. They've got one more window and one more substitution available, Newcastle United. And they've thrown their dice. There's no Wissa tonight. Could be back for the second leg against Qarabag. Here is Murphy toiling with Aït-Nouri down the right-hand side. Aït-Nouri just edges the ball out of play, and it goes out for a throw into Manchester City in the left full-back position as they look at it. No Bruno Guimaraes tonight. It's usually a disaster when he doesn't play. They haven't won any of their last 10 Premier League games that he's missed. In fact, any of the 10 games that he's missed since his debut in 2022, which is a real problem. He is their top scorer in the Premier League this season with 9 goals. He's their top creator. He's got 4 assists this season in the Premier League. He's their heartbeat, really, isn't he?
Yeah, and probably those stats probably tell you why Newcastle are slightly underachieving where they are at the moment in the Premier League.
What, because they rely too much on him? Or because he's missing?
No, because they haven't got a goal scorer that's got more than him, personally. Simple as that. If Valtamauda would have got 10, 12 goals, all of a sudden I think you could be looking at them at least another 4 places up the division.
Yeah, because most of the goals that Valtamauda and Gordon in particular have scored have come in the Champions League this season.
We're talking Premier League goals. If they had someone in double figures, which isn't outlandish for this squad, you would think they should have at this stage of the season.
Here is Gay forward towards Ryan Cherki, who sends it round the corner, and Ryan Aït-Nouri is scampering away. He's got Haaland in the centre. Aït-Nouri then falls over the ball. Well, he got caught in 2 minds there because he raced away into acres of space and he couldn't believe his luck, just how much room there was to operate in. He got right up to just inside the penalty area and he saw Haaland bearing down on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he thought, I should really pass it here, but I could have a go. I should pass it. Oh, I've fallen over.
Yeah, to be fair, you've got to give some credit to Dan Burn there. He didn't come across quickly. He gave Aït-Nouri an absolute chasm to run into, and he ran into it, and then all of a sudden he pulled the shutters across both Aït-Nouri's eyes and the goal.
It's a little bit slippy out there. Here is Joel Linton just proving that fact by diving in with Aït-Nouri. Ball goes out of play and it's out for a throw into Newcastle United. It is tumbling down again, the rain here. I can't remember the last time we had a dry day, and they tell me that 2026 every day has been wet. Yeah. I haven't been here for a couple of days, so I don't know if it's still been the same, but I hear it has been.
Oh, it's beautiful sunshine when you were away, my friend.
I bet it was, yeah. Murphy to take the free kick on the near side.
I tell you what, there's a nervousness creeping in here.
There is a little
bit.
You
can feel
a
it.
Bit agitated, isn't he, down on the touchline? I mean, he's usually quite animated anyway, but he's getting a little bit agitated. James French, who is the set-piece coach, just trying to organise the defence here as this free kick comes in from Murphy. It's a lovely delivery in towards Byrne, who dives towards the ball. Doesn't get a significant touch on it. It flashes through the 18-yard box. What a chance for Newcastle United, and what a delicious delivery.
Yeah, it certainly was. And sitting on the back foot, it's that man Bernardo Silva filling in for right backs at the moment.
And the ball goes up to halfway, doesn't reach Haaland. It goes all the way through to Pope, and again kicking the ground on this near touchline. Old Pep Guardiola's getting a little bit antsy, more antsy as time goes on. 45% possession Newcastle have had, but a lot more in the second half. They've had 11 shots on the Manchester City goal, 5 on target. It's only really managed 2 fewer shots overall than Manchester City throughout the whole game, and both have had 5 shots on target in the match. It has been a fascinating second half where Newcastle really have looked the more likely, and Ramsey's got it now on the halfway line. He's looking to release Murphy through the middle, but he doesn't get the ball right. It goes all the way through to Donnarumma.
Yeah, I can't help thinking that the substitutions, the last window that Eddie Howe had there, he's probably weakened the team more than strengthened it with that attacking threat in many ways.
I'm not making excuses for him, but I just wonder whether or not there was a little bit of the fatigue element creeping in with the 5,000-mile round trip that they've had in midweek.
Yeah, I get that, Sam. As I say, it's easy up here to make statements, but certainly he'll know his squad better than I.
Here's the issue. They've had 5 shots in the second half. and they've had none on target. Newcastle United, they've had 57% of possession. Our eyes weren't lying. They've had 2 corner kicks. Manchester City have none. Manchester City have had only 43% of the ball in the second half, and it has very much felt like that.
Yeah, and City's game now with probably another 10 minutes or so to go. They just need to keep hold of this ball and kill the momentum of Newcastle.
Yep.
I think they've almost given up on getting the next goal.
That's a dangerous game to play, isn't it?
It is.
It's a bit of an Arsenal game to play. It's the same that Mikel Arteta has been criticised for.
Yeah, indeed. They're enjoying this quiet period of the game now. City just knocking the ball around, moving it from left to right.
Yeah, got to make sure you're crisp with the pass though, and Dan Burn has just intervened and won it back for Newcastle United on the halfway line, and 7 minutes still remain here at a rainy Etihad Stadium in Manchester, where it's 2-1 to the home team, who are looking to close the gap on Arsenal at the top of the table. Into Ramsey, just right of the centre circle, back to Tonali with his dark hair almost wet to his skin, just receives the ball back from Trippier and looks up and bounds forward. He came up with 2 big moments in the game against Aston Villa last week. Maybe he could come up with another big moment before the end of this game. Manchester City's crowd getting behind them now, trying to urge them on, and they need them at this moment in time, because they're not quite hanging on, but they're not over the line yet, and they need to be driven over the line. Tonali flicks it round the corner looking for Osula. Back there was Gay to manage to win the challenge, and then that's a sloppy challenge by Joel Linton, but they're on the escape with Cherki here. He runs over the halfway line and then just stops because Antoine Semenyo is down, and eventually the referee will pause play, and it gives everybody a chance just to have a little bit of a time-out. We've got live football for you tomorrow, the Steel City Derby, Sheffield United against Sheffield Wednesday. It's going to be a real tough day, I think, for Sheffield United. Jim Proudfoot and Chris Awilamo on Talksport 2. Sheffield Wednesday really struggling at the bottom of the table. From 1:30, I'll take you round the ground to Mickey Gray and Perry Groves, as we've got all the goals that go in from the Premier League, the EFL and the Women's FA Cup. Tottenham, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Crystal Palace in action as well against Wolves, and Sunderland against Fulham. Monday night football, we've got live commentary from Everton against Manchester United. Jim and Steve Bruce will be bringing you the commentary of that. Tuesday night round the grounds with Adrian in the Champions League, including that Newcastle Carabao game. And on Wednesday night, we've got Sheffield United commentary on Talksport 2, whilst we bring you Real Madrid against Benfica with Jim and former Benfica defender Scott Minto. And usually around this time, I would remind you that for a very long time, for almost 15 years, maybe 20, Scott Minto was a Champions League record holder. But he doesn't like mentioning it because it's not the nicest record in the world to have. But as he says often, you have to play in the Champions League to have a Champions League record, which is true.
And that was what?
The fastest own goal in Champions League history. I think he had it for about 17 years. Hey, listen, not many of us can say we've got a Champions League record. There you go. We love $1 Million Minto, and he is back on the show later in the week, and he's actually very good on Premier League All Access this week, talking about the title race and talking about Arsenal from Wednesday night's game. We're going to get a change here, and off comes Semenyo after his little bump, and he's replaced by Phil Foden with 3.5 minutes to go.
Do you know what? I'm always astounded by players this season having one of their hands taped up. I think this is a record for me, actually. 4 Manchester City players have all got hand strappings.
It's fashion, isn't it? It's been happening for about a year now,
yeah. We'll get the summer out the way, they'll forget about it, and no one will have their hand strapped first game of the season.
It's weird, isn't it? What is that all about?
I really don't know.
Because, I don't know, I'm not cool, so I wouldn't know whether or not it was trendy, but it doesn't look particularly good, does it? It's not like a fashion statement. It's not like your trendy... No, I've gone down the wrong avenue there.
No.
I nearly said you and trendy in the same sentence. No. Can't be right.
It's a cheap shot, fella. I was back in 76 when we done the quiz earlier, when we side pockets and high waistbanders.
Here is Murphy trying to escape. He feeds the ball forward, and all of a sudden they found themselves the wrong side of the Manchester City defence, and then Murphy plays the ball forward, expecting Asula to make a run, but he just doesn't do that. And then Murphy stops, looks along the line to see if Ian Huston is going to raise his offside flag.
Yeah, they're great opportunities that Newcastle have had, but I just think with Gordon not on the pitch now, or maybe even Alanga, who's running well when he was on.
Yeah, just lost a little bit of threat, haven't they? Barnes hasn't really managed to get in the game, has he, really? It's been a little bit like that, but we've still got 2 minutes for Newcastle to fashion one more chance. There'll be Arsenal fans everywhere listening to this, hoping for one last development, and the game doesn't peter out as it appears to be doing at the moment. Joel Linton's going to be booked here for a totting up process. He's not happy about it. He's moaning to the referee, but really and truly they just need to sort of crack on, Newcastle. He was wrestling with Rodri. He did have his forearm in the back of his neck and then grabbed him on the shoulder and dragged him to the floor. I mean, he can't have too many complaints, can he?
No, and the referee didn't book him for that. He booked him for a totting up process, having pointed in about 8 directions on the pitch.
Well, it could be a big weekend in the Premier League. No game for Manchester City till next Saturday. Leeds away is their next fixture. Arsenal take on Spurs tomorrow. Then Chelsea at home next Sunday. We'll be at that one for Game Day Live as well. It's a big week in the Premier League. It's always a big week in the Premier League. Here is Tonali, back to Trippier. Tonali again, wants to drive his team on. He finds a brilliant pass to Ramsey, who then tries to send Asula down the right-hand side, but the speed is in favour of Kusanov, who gets there and guides it back to his goalkeeper, and Donnarumma gives it back to the Uzbek on this near side. Away by Bernardo Silva. Lovely touch by Haaland. Now Cherki takes over. He's got Foden sprinting down the inside right channel, and O'Reilly to his left. He gives it to Foden, but he sends him too wide. Foden's cross hits the back of Lewis Hall, and Cherki has to run over and try and make the most of it. Foden eventually gets it back after a little deflection. We've got 30 seconds of normal time plus added still to play. At the moment, Pep Guardiola's side about to record a 17th consecutive home Premier League win against Newcastle United. That is a ridiculous record. Here is Bernardo Silva dripping the ball over the top for Aït-Nouri, who takes it out of the sky. Again, there's no urgency to get the bodies in the box to attack the final few minutes. They're happy to just stay as they are here. There are 4, though, added minutes at the end of the 90 for them to survive. And for Newcastle to fashion just a chance would be good to get a shot on target, Stuart, because they haven't had one of those in the second half, despite all their possession. Yeah, indeed. And to get anything out of the game, they're going to have to do that. Gueye, lovely ball in towards Haaland. He can kill it here, but Pope is out very quickly. It falls to Foden, edge of the area, and Pope makes another brilliant save down to his left-hand side to deny Phil Foden what would have been a certain winner, and all 3 points for Manchester City. Got to say, a lot of credit's got to go to Nick Pope there. I think he was the one who managed to get the block on Haaland and then extended a leg on Foden. Double save from Nick Pope to deny Manchester City a 3rd goal in the game. Could that be an important moment? Tonali is down. At the moment, they're down to 10 players here, Newcastle United. Eddie Howe stands, hands on hips. And he's just looking at Tonali, who's got a whack, I think, on his shoulder, has he, or on his arm. But that was a great ball in from Gueye after a little body swerve to release Haaland. Haaland duelling with Byrne, and Pope was out very quickly to make the first save. And then when it came back to Foden, who tried to draw the ball down to the goalkeeper's left, Pope makes another brilliant save, and it remains 2-1 to Manchester City. Yeah, really good double save there by Pope. And it just extends this game on a knife edge for the next 3 minutes or so. The ball is out of play over on the far side. Manchester City fans trying to roar their team on to victory here. They've been a lot louder, haven't they, tonight, I think? Well, I think they certainly have the latter end of this half when the nervousness has sort of come into the game a little bit. It's really helped drive their team on. 21 Premier League games, still 0 wins here. The most any team has played at a single venue without winning in Premier League history. That's Newcastle United. But the gap at the top is what everyone will be talking about, and it's going to be just 2 when we kick off tomorrow at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Igor Tudor, his first game in charge of Tottenham. Mikel Arteta taking his team across North London looking to win for a fifth consecutive time. Is that a foul throw by Lewis Hall?
No, it's Haaland and Byrne wrestling each other, nowhere near the ball now. They've just left the ball alone, which is magnificent.
Ramsey flicks it on. Asula's nowhere near it. It's away by Joel Linton. And the ball breaks for Chow. They've got to get it forward here quickly, Newcastle United. Trippier has it on the halfway line. He needs to push it into an area. He gets it back off of Murphy. Barnes makes a run. Trippier declines the invitation to play it in behind. Ramsey gets tied in knots. The ball slid forward by Chow. Now it's into Murphy. Murphy into Osula. What a challenge that was by Gay. He read it perfectly. And now a chance to escape for Bernardo Silva, who bounds forward, releases Haaland. Haaland against Byrne, edge of the area. Chow comes across, makes the block, and Newcastle United can bring it away here. But they just can't get out of City's grasp at the moment. Nico O'Reilly gets the sponsors man of the match here. 2 goals for him, 2 goals, they're going to win the game. The second of which that came on the 27th minute. Pep Guardiola just saying, get back, make sure you don't concede anything in the final few seconds of this match. There's only 30 seconds of stoppage time to play. It's Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1. Nick Pope's going to launch this high up the field. No, he's not. He's going to play it short to Trippier. And Trippier then is going to launch it over the top of the defence, up towards Joel Linton, who heads it down. Barnes to volley it! And it's touched round the corner by Donnarumma. And it's out and away for a corner kick for Newcastle United in the final few seconds of stoppage time. Harvey Barnes with the effort on the volley, and it caused Donnarumma a bit of a panic.
It certainly did. It was the deftest of saves just to edge it past. It might have been going wide. Pope's in the box.
Nick Pope is up from the back. The final action of this game. The ball sent in from the corner in towards the near post. Nick Pope with the effort. It's saved by Donnarumma. Comes back out to Murphy. Murphy trying to get it down the side. Late drama here. Back in by Trippier. They want the whistle, the City fans. The ball's dropped into Tonali's path. He sends it high into the box. It's away by Bernardo Silva. And then that is the full-time whistle, and it's victory for Manchester City. And in a Premier League season with more twists than a Netflix drama, as we reach the last few episodes of the season, Manchester City are on the hunt. The gap is just 2. The goal difference is just 1. And the message is clear. We are coming to get you. Newcastle United's horror run at the Etihad continues. Despite their second half dominance in terms of possession, they didn't fashion enough chances till right at the very end. And Manchester City have Nico O'Reilly to thank for another 3 points. Arsenal will have to respond tomorrow, but they knew they would, because realistically Newcastle, with no Bruno, no sleep, and 5,000 miles of travels in their legs, probably had not much of a chance. But they certainly gave Manchester City more than 1 or 2 scares over the course of that 90 minutes. But Pep Guardiola's team just about got the job done. With 11 games to go, this is going to the wire. Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1.
Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce, your commentary team, and stay with us on Talksport, because Sam is on his way down to the tunnel now. You will hear live reaction during the course of Fight Night once that gets underway, with Adam Cattrall and co, from Pep Guardiola and Eddie Howe in the tunnel with Sam, live on Talksport. So to reiterate, 11 games to go, because Arsenal have played the same number of games as things stand as Manchester City. 27 games apiece, 58 points to Arsenal, 56 to Manchester City. The long unbeaten run here against Newcastle continues. Newcastle have still not won here in the league at the Etihad. You've got to go back to Main Road days for the last time that Newcastle succeeded on the road, and they've disappeared down the tunnel sharpish. Whereas for Manchester City, they're doing their mini lap of honour, and they got the job done, Stuart Pearce, but that was a nervy moment right at the end with that Harvey Barnes snapshot. And Nick Pope did get something on that corner kick, didn't he?
He did. He was the one challenging Donnarumma, and it's going to be like this, I think, for the next 11 games, both on the east side of Manchester and the north side of London. It's going to be nervous affairs. You've got to see games out, and it was on a knife edge. The longer the game went on with just one goal advantage for City, the more Newcastle felt as though they might grab something out of the game. Pep will be delighted with this result.
Yeah, because the quality wasn't quite there in the second half, but the industry was.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I say, I think both teams added to a decent game here, no doubt about that. But listen, City coming out on top. We said before the game we thought that Newcastle had to score more than one to get something out of the game, and it panned out that way, Dan.
Tell you what, you can have your Lee Wood, Josh Warrington super featherweight clash in Nottingham tonight. I want to see a few more rounds between Erling Haaland and Dan Burn.
I tell you what, it puts a smile on my face seeing them two go head to head. Every time I see them, they give as good as each other have got. There's a physical presence about both of them. But I think it's done in the right, there's no kidding referees. They stand up to each other, and it's just a throwback, to be honest with you.
I think what you both said latterly in the game is absolutely right. There was a noise about this place tonight that sometimes you don't get, but fair play to the City supporters right behind their team. Just when Newcastle was starting to get a little bit of get their hooks into the game, the City fans stood up and gave their team the backing they needed.
Yeah, certainly they did, and they're going to need that. They're going to be roared on here for certainly all the home games on this run-in. And Pep, you can see in Pep's face, sometimes he hides those emotions, but other times when the relief's off and the result's been won, he knew how important this result was tonight.
He had ants in his pants from about 20 minutes into the second half, and he was not standing still from that moment on. But Pep Guardiola, vastly experienced in these home stretches of Premier League title races, has just asked the question of Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, what have you got? As for Newcastle, Stuart, we should look at their side of the coin. I think what you also said was right, that I think those changes that Eddie Howe made in the second half were born out of necessity because of players maybe being in the red zone rather than trying to find something clever to unlock Manchester City.
Yeah, I think if you look at both managers, at half-time, Pep made the substitution. Kusanov on, Diaz off. I think it was made on twofold. A, the yellow card, and certainly more pace in the back line. When Eddie Howe had to, I think, probably make those two changes with Elanga and Gordon coming off, I think it hurt them a little bit on their attacking prowess.
Well, I'll tell you what, as the Etihad Stadium starts to empty out, fans heading back out onto the rainy streets of Manchester, because it is still throwing it down here, as it has pretty much everywhere in the country across this weekend. It's high time for us to pick our player of the match with our friends at Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
So we leave this decision in the very capable hands of the former Newcastle fullback and former Manchester City manager, Stuart Pearce. Where's your nod going, Stuart?
Yeah, I've got to go to O'Reilly. I thought he played very well in the game. His general play was good. And the fact he scored two fantastic goals, for such a young man. We talk about all the riches that they've got on here, all the money that's been spent on players, and O'Reilly's the one that comes up with the goods.
So Nico O'Reilly gets the nod from Stuart Pearce. That was our Here For It hero, player of the match from tonight's game with our friends at Enterprise Rent-A-Car.